Gentlemen, we've had some rules changes. GW, those sneaky bees, updated a few different documents only a couple of days ago. And I haven't seen many people talking about it, but there are some important changes here. So let's take a look at them now. Now we'll start off with the little things, and then we'll go through the big things. Everyone's favorite stepsisters of battle, the nuns with guns, the thick thigh sisters of battle. It is the Adeptus Sororitas. So there's been one change to the Adeptus Sororitas, and that is page 73, the Devout Fanaticism Stratagem. Change to when your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has shot. So this is a nerf to the stratagem. Chat has reliably informed me this is a nerf to the stratagem. And basically what's happened here, previously, how the stratagem works is it said when an enemy shoots you. So rules as written, what that meant is the sisters could move up, and then you could move up to get an angle on them to shoot them. And then when you went to shoot them, they would do a brood surge kind of thing. And then they could surge to combat, and then they could start attacking you. But they got to do that surge move before you actually shot. So how it's changed is basically you can't preemptively surge into combat anymore. What happens is the enemy moves up to you, they shoot you, and then after they finish shooting, you get to surge. It basically works like Khorne Berserkers. It basically works like an Ending Swarm. It just works like all of the other ones did. All the other ones do now. It was just GW clearly being a bit lazy on the old quality checks. It's a big change, and it's an important change, but it's a fairly unsurprising change. Now, after that, we have got a couple of cheeky changes to Genes to the Cult. Now, the first one is a change to Cult Ambush, which we've had some mixed reactions to this. As someone who is inexperienced in Genes to the Cult, I think this is a good change, but I think there were some tournament GSC players who see this as a nerf because of how it basically fucks over Cult Ambush interacting with Rapid Ingress. What the change is you can now set that unit up on the battlefield using a Cult Ambush marker as described below, or if it has Deep Strike ability in the reinforced step of one of your movement phases. You can set up that unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. So this is quite a big change. One of your Genes to the Cult units dies. You roll the dice as per normal. If you roll your 5 up or your 4 up, if it's the first couple of battle rounds, then you get two choices. You can set the unit up on the battlefield using a Cult Ambush marker as described below. Same as you've always known it. Take your Cult Ambush token, put it on the ground, good times. Or, and I've only just realised this, I got this wrong last time I looked at this last time someone sort of looked at this and told me about it early in the stream, man. I thought that you could just come back in from a Cult Ambush token in your next reinforced step. But no, how it works is either you come in the old system, or if you've got Deep Strike, you just go back into basically Deep Strike Reserves. And if you go back into Deep Strike Reserves, you don't need to come in within range of a Cult Ambush token. So anything that doesn't have Deep Strike still has to come in. You put the token on the ground. If the enemy comes in the token dies and goes away, which is a big sad. But now, if you don't want to risk losing your unit because of the Cult Ambush tokens getting picked up, what you could do instead is be like, this unit's got Deep Strike, it's died, I'm just going to put it in Strat Reserve. Essentially, this is kind of like, use like a guard analogy. You know when you Deep Strike your Silence down and then they die and you spend your 2 CP on reinforcements and then just go back and shoot Reserve? Basically, Genes to the Cult have that, but throughout the entire game. And rather than spending CP, they are rolling that dice and looking for a 4-up or looking for a 5. That's a big change. And there's going to be a lot of units that could benefit from that. I'm not entirely certain which units have Deep Strike, but I feel like it's most of them. So you can drop down, flame the shit out of someone, die, roll your 5 up, drop down, flame the shit out of someone. Or, I guess, throw demo charges at them. This is a big change, but of course it doesn't get round the the major problem. You got to roll that 5 up. I like the change here, but I still think we're basically just inevitably marching towards Cult Ambush being everything gets deep strike, and they just make all the points a lot cheaper. Because having a mechanic rely upon you rolling like 5s ups is just bad, because sometimes it will happen, sometimes it won't. I know a lot of people will probably lambast me saying, Mordian, it's a dice game, we should have randomness. But there's sometimes when randomness is fun, and there's sometimes when randomness is frustrating. And right now I feel like Cult Ambush is just GW, half the point, not half the points. Just give them all like a 10-20% discount on the points, and fuck off Cult Ambush, and just give every unit deep strike. Easy peasy. And give them a reinforced stratagem to bring one unit back. Other change for GSC is hybrid metamorphs have been fixed. Essentially now you can have a character join the unit, and if that character has a pistol, you can still brood surge. Before, you couldn't have any pistols, and so the moment a character joined, you couldn't brood surge. They basically got rid of that now. So you still can't take any hand flamers and brood surge. You can have like a Primus someone join and still brood surge. So a little buff for hybrid metamorphs to make them work with characters. A big change to Cult Ambush, although I'm not sure it fixes fundamental underlying problem with that mechanic. Okay, so that covers those two. Now we've got some changes to the core rules. So the big change here is pivot. Okay, so basically GW released the new pivot rules a month later, less than a month later. They've already had to change them, because who could have thought giving a bunch of factions a whole bunch of free movement was a bad idea? Who could possibly have fathomed that? Oh man. Okay, let's have a look here. The pivot values, unless otherwise stated, the following pivot values apply. Models that are not on a round base, excluding vehicle, monster and vehicle models. 1-inch pivot. Monster and vehicle models that are not on a round base, 2-inch pivot. Vehicle models on a round base that is wider than 32mm with a flying stem or hover stand, 2 inches movement. Aircraft models, 0. All the type of models. So a monster model on an oval base, like a Bloodthirst, has a pivot value of 2 inches. And then we've got a vehicle model on a 60mm round base with a flying stem, a radius pivot value of 2. Hey! Bad luck, Drakari! Get bent, you Dark Elder bastards, for fucking cheesing your way through all the free pivots. A vehicle model on a 100mm round base with a hover stand and impulsor has a pivot value of 2 inches. As a non-monster, non-vehicle model on an oval base, and outright has a pivot value of models that are not on a round base. Oh, so your infantry can pivot as much as they want. Aircraft can pivot as much as they want. Beasts can pivot as much as they want. No, beasts would probably have to pivot now. So anything from like bikes to like flesh hounds to like corn dogs and all that kind of stuff, that's gonna have a 1-inch penalty now. I don't know if I just don't know if pivot is adding anything to the game of value. We had the system before. If any part of the model moves, take that into account. If this fucking model spins, if this bit here moved around to here, you just measured the movement. If this bit here moved around to here, I really feel like this has added quite a lot of complication to rules as written that everyone already knew. The pivot rule was first introduced. They were like, it's really simple, guys. If you're not on a base like a rhino, you just now take a 2-inch penalty, and you can pivot as much as you want. If you are on a round base, you don't worry. You can just pivot as much as you want for free. And everyone was like, okay, that's fine. And then at the top tables, a bunch of rules lawyer whacker players are like, so does this mean that I can get an extra like 30-inch movement from my Dark Elder Raider? Oh, it's like Tokyo drifting like round the around the battlefield. And now they've started adding in all of these extra bits where it's like, or we just take the pivot rule out and watch, go back to rules of written where it's like, did any part of the model move? Yep. Take that fucking take that off the model. Did you spin on the spot? Did this part of the track move round to here? measure that distance. That's 3 inches. That's how much of your movement it costed. Just, that covers every base. That covers whether it's a round base, an oval base, a warzy, a woozy, fucking spin the fucking circles. It didn't matter. Any part of the model moved, you measured that move. Turret spin, that counts as a move. Turn on the spot, take the inches off. And now it's like, well, this model pivots this much, and this model pivots this much, and this model pivots. Give me the gun, I'll do it myself, man. Pivot rule is a great example of a cool idea being implemented, basically making, like, it should have worked. The competitive community, which I am part of, definitely fucking took the piss, and now they're having to fix it. They're probably going to be the balancing right now is probably like, fuck's sake, we should never have added this in. So big changes to pivot there. I actually do like the pivot rules. Don't get me wrong, I do like the pivot rules, but GW, you are massively overcomplicating this. Just fucking have any vehicle, a monster, a mounted unit, like just anything like that. If it pivots, it's 2 inches. If it's big and it fucking turns on the spot, it takes 2 inches off. If it's infantry like biker, like mounted, like if it's like fucking not a proper vehicle or monster, it doesn't pay it. It's fast enough. It can turn on a dime. All right. Every exception that you make, people will probably get used to it quite quickly. But the big problem with this isn't that you won't get used to it. The big problem is that if you're a new player, you're just going to get this wrong. Like, I love the current pivot rules. Like, they were fine. Probably most people are just going to muddle through this. And this is really for the top tier players to try and not fuck each other over with, basically. I guess UW is more focused on top tier players fucking each other rather than the bottom tier players and middle tier players who are just going to muddle their way through it anyway and not worry too much about getting it 100% right. Pivot done. What's the last thing? Pariah Nexus. In Burner Trust Prime Mission, how many times can a player score VP for guarding objective mark they control? The player going first can score VP for guarding objective mark they control at the end of the opponent's second, third, fourth, and fifth turn. The player going second can score VP for guarding objective mark they control at the end of their opponent's third, fourth, and fifth turn. How confident? There's more than just pivot will change. Oh, yes! Torrent and indirect fire. There you go. So there is another big change in here. You can no longer have a torrent indirect fire weapon. This is literally a targeted change at Thousand Suns, who are going Cabal points, indirect fire, flamer. People say Magnus did nothing wrong. Clearly he did, because if they weren't doing anything wrong, GW wouldn't have made this change. So yeah, no more Thousand Suns indirect fire flamers. There's a scout change as well. Is there really? Scouts! Okay, this could affect us in the scout mirrors. Some units have Scout X listed their abilities. If every model in the unit has this ability, then at the start of the first battle round, before the first turn begins, it can make a normal move up to X. With the exception that while making that move, the distance moved by each model in that unit can be greater than the model's move characteristic as long as it is not greater than X. Oh, so if you're like, I've got a movement value of 8, but I have a scout move of 10, I can scout move 10. Dedicated transport models can make use of any Scout X ability listed in their abilities or a Scout X ability a unit that starts the battle embarked with a dedicated transport model has, provided only models with this ability are embarked within that dedicated transport model. Regardless of how that embarked unit gains this ability, listed in their abilities conferred by enhancement or by an attached character, etc. I don't think this affects guard, because if you take Strachan, and put him in a Chimera, which has then got like 10 Cadians in it, Cadians haven't got Scout. Alcoffin Orcs had characters that granted units Scout, but because the base unit had no Scout value, they couldn't be affected by the rule. As much as the Torrent thingy was a nerf to Thousand Suns, this is a buff, a shadow buff, or direct buff, I should say, to Orcs. It's not said it specifically is for Orcs, but basically it's acting. Okay, FAQs. If a strategy targets both one or more units from my army and one or more units from my opponent's army, can I use an ability to modify that stratagem CP cost? Yes. Stratagem targets 2 or more units from my army, can I use an ability to modify that stratagem CP cost? Yes. The stratagem means the command phase does not explicitly state that it is used in the battle shock step or at the end of the command phase. Is it always used in the command step? Yes. Jesus Christ, I forgot how long the rules commentary is. This is not a commentary. This is just a whole bunch of additional rules. Jesus Christ. Save me, Jeebus. 34 pages. This is getting longer than the core rulebook, man. I feel like the rules commentary isn't really commenting on any rules anymore. If a stratagem targets both one or more units from my army and one or more units from my opponent's army, can I use a ability to modify the stratagem CP cost? Why wouldn't you be able to do that? Is this an example of someone rules as written, right? Rules as writtening. Because if you can reduce, if Creed can reduce a CP cost, you can reduce the CP cost, right? I don't get it. Was someone literally arguing, well, actually, you can only use a CP reduction on a stratagem that affects your units? You can't use a CP reduction on a stratagem that affects my units. Was someone actually arguing that? It's people like them what cause unrest. It should have some arms reduce CP costs on strats that affected one or more units. That would never even have occurred to me, man. If I'm a person, I reduce the stratagem cost. Like as Alias, you're right. I can't understand a normal thinking person. I can't get it. Everyone was saying that Talons the Emperor strats that target units couldn't have their cost reduced. Stratagem reduction thing, it never mentioned that. It just went, if you can reduce a stratagem, you do it by 1 CP. If it was free, you now reduce it by 1. Elden Lean, everyone was saying that Talons the Emperor strats that target units couldn't have their cost reduced. I don't know, man, but it was dumb as hell. That sounds like, why? Because you didn't want them to? What? So for Talons of the Emperor, the Custodian Guard unit could activate the 9-inch normal move that also affects a unit not led by that captain model. This is silence, then the rule for reducing CP doesn't work. The strat reduction said for this unit. Actually, since you're targeting your unit and my unit, since mine doesn't have your captain, you can't reduce it. Fuck this, man. I'm just going to old world. Because the old world FAQ is a very thinly veiled document by GW, basically telling, anytime one of these questions comes up, the answer that GW gives is so sassy. The old world FAQ is what GW actually wants to say to you. The old world FAQ is literally just, no, stop, get help. I'm finding you guys an example here. What constitutes a move? Quite simply, if you touch a model or unit and change its position in any way, it has moved. I mean, it's like, it's so good. Can a unit move whilst locked in combat? No. Fuck off. It's so sassy, man. Like, some of them are fine, but some of them are real sassy. It's like, no. No, no, no. Shut up, you fucking cretins. No. There's a few yeses, but there's a lot of no's in here. I love this one. No, as stated on page 124, no model can move farther than twice movement characteristic. So it's just like, it's like, check the fucking rulebook. Check the rulebook, you knobhead. Last thing here. Here's an example. Can the wearer of the wizarding hat also wear a magical helmet such as the bedazzling helm? Yes, because one is an enchanted item, the other is a type of magic armor. But we hope anyone equipping a model in such a way would make the effort to depict it wearing two hats. So yeah, you can do that. We want you to have a model with a helmet on and then a fucking wizard's hat on top. I love that. An FAQ literally saying, like, we would expect you to model it. That's how an FAQ should be. Don't try and play the lawyer game, the rules lawyer game. Just when someone gives you a stupid question, give them a short answer. Literally, if you go through the old FAQ, you will find multiple examples of them basically just being like, stop. I know we've gone a bit off topic there, but I think it was good to look at how different teams do different FAQs. Overall, I think the pivot changes is probably GW realizing that the pivot rule was a good idea, but it's not been 100% implemented well. Change to GSC, good. Changes to sisters, good. Changes to indirect fire, good. And the whole thing around people bitching about how I can fucking reduce my stratagem costs. But let me know. But that's just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian Glory Hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.